central offices, in regional domain site, but you can go to the specific optical test head and the fibers connected to that specific test head, and you can see how many fibers are tested and passed, how many fibers are read, how many are not tested. And you can do that in all your elements in your network. And you can go get a pie chart of the different insertion loss levels, but also the different distances in your network. So you can have a full control of your network management, and you know everything that's happening at the right distances in your network, and you can report it. Those reports, we see a lot of customers using it for upper management, for CEOs, to give them a health check on the network and give them reports on how is the progress of my network, how is my speed of deployment, do I have a lot of issues, where do I need to address, which subcontractor do I need to give more training in order to speed up the deployment. So it gives you, in my opinion, and in the feedback from customers, a much larger control of your network. Okay, now you might tell me, or you might ask me the question, yeah, great, Patrick, great feedback, great system, but can I justify the business case? Can I justify investing in such a system? And isn't it easier for me to simply have subcontractors with equipment in the field and testing? And I'm going to show the next two slides, the elements of the business case. Those are taken really from a real-time example in a European environment, where our customers were reporting to us the big savings that they see using the centralized test system versus the old process, which was field testing and field activation through subcontractors. So just to go through, obviously, every investment in every solution, whether it's passive or active or testing, requires a solid business case. So what we can help is we can help define the elements of the business case to justify or help you justify the investment for centralized testing. Obviously, key elements to consider is number of OTDR measurements you require per link and per fiber. So I can give you an example from Germany. I'm located in Germany. I work a lot with subcontractor in the field. I know how much they charge per OTDR testing per fiber. So if you have a feeder fiber that is 96 fiber, the subcontractor is required to do bidirectional testing on each fiber on that feeder, and it costs about 20 euros, which is about $25 per fiber to test both sides with an OTDR. So a 96 fiber cable could cost you $2,000 or $2,500 to test it. Obviously, this is Germany. This is not, let's say, Latin America, where the rates are cheaper. This is not Asia, where we know the labor force is more available and cheaper. But still, this is a huge sum of money, and this is a huge test protocol to do every fiber. So depending, that one key element of the business case is how many fibers you need to test, and how many phases of your network. Do I test up to my first splitter, then between my first splitter and the second splitter, between my second splitter and the third splitter? Do I test all those? So all this is important element for defining the business case. Also, an element to consider is the failure rate during construction. So you do your 96 fiber testing. You come the second day, construction. You come the second day and you send the testing person to test your network. And now you find out that 10% or 20% of those fibers are failing. So I need to send again the construction team to dig the ground or open the closure and try to find out where is the fault. So this time and cost and re-roll of the truck is part of the business case. The same happens during drop activation. If I go to activate a customer and I don't have signal, I have to call somebody to come and locate the fault and find where my mistake is. So this is also time and cost to locate, identify, and repair. And then what is the failure rate you have during the operation? Now, okay, I built my network, I have a customer, but how often do I need to send somebody to the field to fix an issue that is happening? And we see that from different operators to be sometimes above 30% of people calling, I have a problem in the network. Can you please come and can fix it? More than 30%. And our key operator in the UK, by using centralized test system, reduced the 30% of failure rate to almost 0%. There is never a 0%, obviously, but almost 0%, because you can actively monitor your system and locate the fault, and even sometimes predict where the fault is going to be by seeing the degradation of your system. Okay, so these are the elements to build your business case. This is a real example of where in each phase you can see costs saved in the network. So during construction, you obviously don't do OTDR testing and inspection in the field. You just do it with the app and fully automated. You avoid failures, because if you build and then later test, you have to resend somebody to build. But here, when your operator or when your subcontractor is building the network, they can run a test immediately by using the mobile app. And if it passes, perfect. If it doesn't pass, I'm still in the manhole. I'm still at the fiber level. I can immediately correct the fault if I see that there is a fault. During activation, obviously, we talked about that a lot, which is pre-certification. So before I send somebody to activate the customer, I can run a test and find out that there is an issue and solve that issue. That improves the quality and speed of activation, and it removes the early life failure from drop repairs. So I can run a test, qualify my network, and certify everything is according to specs without having to come back for repairs at a later point in time. And then obviously during the maintenance, there is also a very big part of the savings, which is demarcating issues and finding faults very easily and very quickly. We see a lot of issues per day that require really locating the fault and fixing the fault. And this is also not issues always related to a bad installation. Many times your subcontractor are doing a great job and testing and qualifying a network and building according to quality. But then the electric company or a construction is happening in the field, in the area, where they dig the ground and they hit a duct or destroy a closure, or some other operator coming to the same area and by mistake destroying your fiber or your cable. Those are the issues that we see mostly happening that are typically outside of your control. And with a centralized fiber test system, you regain control of your network and you are able to really manage end-to-end your network deployment and optimize all the steps. As a summary, as I said, what you need is a centralized test head, so an OTDR, but in the central office, which controls the optical switches through a mobile app. What it enables you, a mass fiber testing done by a field tech equipped with only a mobile app, and a reflector. And then what it gives you, a real-time database that you can link to your network through different APIs. And it helps you to manage all the job management, analytics, alarming, everything around your network can be linked do what you do on the testing and qualification phase of your network and link it with your inventory, with your systems, with your processes. Okay. Obviously, the features or the benefits are great. And again, all those benefits have been coming from real scenarios, real customers using the system during construction, activation, and monitoring. It allows you the much faster qualification and tests when you build your network. No need for skilled technician. This is a big problem in Europe. There is a big pressure to install network fiber to the home with a high speed, because there is initiatives that in the next 2 to 3 years most of the people need to have broadband. So with that, you need to build a lot of fibers, and you don't have skilled technicians. Uh, you you test remotely, so you don't need to dispatch somebody for activation and monitoring phases for locating the issues. You do remote validation and progress tracking, because as if you have two subcontractors building two different network areas, you can see who is faster, and you can try to understand why a certain subcontractor is faster than the other. Yeah, you do certify that your tests are done according to your requirements, without errors, without cheating, without missing any fibers. If you do dark fiber provider, you increase your network value, because you can always certify to whoever is renting or buying the fiber from you that your fiber has excellent quality and it's performing the same as built in the past. And then last but not least, it allows you a full control over your inventory. So whatever you planned to build your network with, you can confirm that it's done as built. So that's my contribution for today. I think I made it. There is 7 minutes, not for I think 7 minutes for questions and comments, and I'm looking forward to hear your view on that, and your comments and your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick and Mr. Gan. We can learn how good infrastructure, FTTH, and fixed FTTH problem from your presentation. And now we have a question. First question. Wait. First question from Miss Sasa. Good afternoon, Mr. Patrick. Thanks for your sharing. I want to ask if we just use your OTDR, we can get the monitoring system because it needs another tools, right, Mister?
It needs another what? Sorry.
If we just use your OTDR, we can get the monitoring system because it needs other tools, right?
Yeah,
No.
Patrick,
Yeah, go ahead, Gan,
let,
if you want to.
let me pick up this. It's actually on the chat box, so I can read it more.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes or no? Yes, in a sense, yes. It's the same OTDR you might use in our handheld, right? It's but this system is as Patrick mentioned. Essentially, the major difference is instead of having the OTDR at the far end, right? Normally you test from the feeder, from the drop cable, right? And then you test cross splitter. Here we place the OTDR in the central office. So first of all, this OTDR is only one, right? Instead of you are having many, now it's only one. So it requires optical switch because you need to scan more fibers than just one. And as Patrick walked through, you can actually use mobile apps to control that, which means it is more than OTDR and optical switch, right? It has a more intelligent build around. So the whole box is what we call OTU, right? Optical test unit. So yeah, but the OTDR is the same, right? And the other thing, as I say, is instead of testing from the job cable, now you test from central office.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gan. Second question, what do you think if we already have monitoring system, but it is not still not full cover all the network and still unstable? Maybe any solution from you. Thank you.
Yeah, Patrick, let me pick up that again.
Okay.
Because I understand the background of this question.
Perfect.
Yes. Again, I'm talking in context of PT Telkom, right? This has because as Patrick mentioned, is really a last 2-3 years new development that from VRV, right? And so there's a lot of new technology that and put in, right? New software, and so definitely, whatever you might have invested, 4-5 years ago or even earlier, I don't think that days the technology can compare to what we are doing right now, right? I think two difference I can see. One is, of course, it was an older system, right? And I believe that system, whatever you invested, was also for monitoring only, right? This system is as what Patrick mentioned, that in the last few years we extended. We can do monitoring, right? We also, in the monitoring itself, we also evolve, right? We can do a VIP customer monitoring, ODN monitoring, as what discussed just now. But more than that, this system now is even doing the centralized testing, right? Centralized testing is the main thing that we share today, because this is really in good use in Europe customer, in UK. Patrick knows better than me. So over there, they deploy a lot of system very much on the centralized testing. And then once you do the testing, you move naturally to the monitoring. So it's become really end-to-end, right? So back to your question, I think not only that, not just that I want to sell more thing to PT Telkom, but all I can say is technology is very different in the last 5-6 years when it comes to centralized testing, monitoring. There was a monitoring concept, but there was no centralized testing. If you talk about 4-5 years ago.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gan. Maybe this last question. Is this reflector device require a power supply?
No, it's a fully passive component. There is a filter that reflects at 1650, which is the OTDR test wavelength, and allows you to catch that peak of that reflection from the central office. So doesn't need any power supply. You can connect it to a standard SC adapter or LC adapter, or it comes in the form of a pigtail. So if you have a distribution box that has pigtails, you can use a pigtail that already has a reflector in it. So you have then constant reflection then for monitoring phases. So no, it doesn't require any power supply. It's fully passive device.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. Because time is over, thank you very much for the sharing, Mr. Patrick and Mr. Gan. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining Faber Talk, and I see you next Faber Talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you all.
Done. Close.